And thank you for giving me this opportunity, even though I joined you very late because of cabinet commitment. When I arrived here, Honorable Dr. Letlapi was speaking, obviously. Those are the only questions I've had, but the others, I picked them as you were answering. Dr. Letlapi, I'm very happy because you know this sector as much as I know it. And I'm sure we are going to work together to resolve some of the problems. Let me start with this issue of litigation. Medico-legal litigation is destroying the healthcare system of the country. And what people don't know, they believe is destroying the public sector. Actually, it's annihilating the private sector, even more than the public, and I'll tell you why. This is an American system, by the way. It's a very bad system. Dr. Margaret Chan, who was a former Director General of the World Organization before the present one, she asked me a question. She said, Dr. Mtswaledi, why in South Africa your healthcare system is British? It is British because we were colonized by the British. Our titles are British. The curriculum is British. The exam is British. Everything we're doing is British. And she then said, why are you doing that? But when you come to healthcare financing, you go American. You become American. And she said, the American system is the worst that America has ever bequeathed to the world. And part of what she was talking about is this litigation, whereby money which is supposed to be saving healthcare is actually making lawyers very rich. I know when I said this, the legal profession get extremely angry. There was a time when one of the, I don't know which Black Association of Lawyers was attacking me for saying this. This is a reality, and we need to work together to nip it in the bud, because we'll no longer have a health system in the country, both public and private, because of this. Dr. Crisp has already told you, I don't have the figure, but a very large number of this litigation that are there now as, what do you call the litigation where you don't pay the lawyer up front? Contingency. Yes. This issue of contingency, where you don't have to pay the lawyer, but you are going to share with the lawyer the money, what you get after litigating the doctor. That is the one that is also driving this thing. Because in terms of South African law, contingency is 25%. But believe you me, lawyers don't take 25% because people don't know. I'm sure you are aware that you meet this even in road accident fund, where a person is injured, is in a wheelchair, they go and get millions for that person, and the person gets paid only 10,000 rand. We know of cases where some of them even go to buy a cow and give to the lawyer and say, you have helped me. I've never seen this amount of money in my life, meaning maybe 50,000 rand when millions have been claimed. So the solution to this is no fault claim, which many developed countries have done. We are not denying the fact that mistakes do happen in hospital. We know that already. It has even been established by the World Organization. They say when you are in a plane, you are 300 times more safer than when you are in a hospital, anywhere in the world, because anything can happen in a hospital. So we already know that, we accept that. But instead of enriching individuals, we found a way of compensating those who are really in need, those who have been damaged, because there is damage, some form of damage. But now what other countries are doing, I know specifically in the Scandinavian countries, they set up panels that consist of retired judges, senior counsel, retired professors, etc. They come and assess you, and they are the ones who define how much you must be compensated for. They don't bring lawyers in between, because as I said, most of the money goes to lawyers. For instance, Dr. Letlapi, and I'm sure you are aware of that, most of the money is for future medical care, and it gets paid in a lump. But once the money is paid in a lump and the lawyer took his portion, which is usually bigger, and give what is left to the patient. They are left on their own, and they come to the public sector to get treatment. We've got many of such people. Even a disabled person on a wheelchair, after paying this money, they're not going to build a house for that person, even though they've counted it in the fees, or no, this person needs a special house and all that. That person is going to live in an RDP house. They just leave them. Now, the fortunate part is that there is a case in the Eastern Cape where the judge ruled that the public sector must take care and remove the claim from, for future health care, because it's huge amounts of money. When lawyers charge for future health care, they charge for the rates in the private sector. They don't charge for public. In other words, they say in the private sector, when they are going to do this operation, it will cost this much. That's why they charge, and that's what the state pays. And from there, the patient comes to the public sector. Lastly, just to give you an example, in the Eastern Cape, we had a case, Dr. Letlapi. It was given to SIU, I don't know how far it is, of a lawyer who put in claims for 9 children with cerebral palsy. That's where they charge the most. 9 children, and he wanted 15 million rand for each of them. The first suspicious thing is that children with cerebral palsy are not homogeneous. It differs, from patient to patient, but he wanted 15 million. We sent the SIU there. They went to the schools where these kids were supposed to be. The teachers were shocked. How? So-and-so with cerebral palsy? This child is like any other. We don't know about this child having cerebral palsy. But there's a claim in the Department of Health. Then they went to the parents. Most of them live with their grannies. How granny? Because the granny has signed a power of attorney to that lawyer. Granny, you signed this thing and told this lawyer to come and sue us because this child has got cerebral palsy. But the teachers are saying, no. The paper I signed is for people from SASA. Somebody came here and said, I must sign this paper so that they get child support grant for the child. And I very readily signed. That is a power of attorney to the lawyer to go and sue. Then it gets worse and worse. When they dug deeper, they found that some of the kids were not even born in the hospitals that were being litigated. They were just hoping that there will be no records. The worst of them all is that they were suing for children who were never born. They never existed in this world. And somehow they just hope, Now, the last example of that was a lawyer who was suing 70 million rand, 70 million, for a hospital in Limpopo, where they said there was a botched circumcision. My curiosity, Dr. Letlapi, was, I know that botched circumcision happened, even within hospitals. They do. Even by doctors, even in practice, you do make a mistake. But my question is, if there is a botched circumcision, if it cost 70 million, what was the botching? And I said, maybe 70 million is for an amputation. Maybe this person's manhood was completely amputated. My second curiosity was, if they amputate your manhood, how much does it cost? Money-wise, what is the monetary cost of your manhood being amputated altogether? So because of this curiosity, I phoned the MEC and said, go and get this file. And I took the file, I gave it to Professor Taole Mukwena. He's the present health umbad. He was still the professor at Steve Biko. He went through the file. I knew what was in the file, but because I'm a politician, I wanted professional. Before I came out to attack, I needed professional help because they will just say I'm working like a politician. And the report he wrote was that this man must thank the healthcare system for saving his life. No circumcision was done. He had a severe phonias gangrene because he was HIV positive, not on ARVs, not taking care of himself. I don't know why that lawyer did that. And we wanted to take him up. Same week, we got a claim for 25 million, also from Limpopo, for a person who was already 19 with cerebral palsy. And my curiosity was, until he reached the age of 19, how was he living? And I sent people there. When they arrived, it was in Fraser Hospital in Venda. A nurse called them and said, I was in this hospital when this fellow was born 9 years ago. I remember the birth very well. There was no complication. I don't know what the cerebral palsy is about. And because this man stays in the village, he has booked for a license in 2 weeks' time. But the government is being charged 25 million for cerebral palsy. Some of the claims is that he can't even wash himself, he can't do anything. So in both cases, we phoned the lawyers, wrote them, and say, please send your patient for examination. Before we pay this man, we want to examine. And they withdraw the claims immediately. They just withdraw them and disappear. So the solution here is no false claim finally. But the present one, before we have no false claim, where nobody goes to court, but you compensate those who are damaged. Before we do that, we need to put up a team of investigators and lawyers. Any claim before it gets paid, it needs to be investigated in this manner. The other question I want to answer, Chairperson, I know I'm really running out of time. Maybe let me jump to the issue of another pandemic. There is no chance that the world will not face with another pandemic. We know it's coming. It's not good words, but it's reality. Because of 3 reasons. Number 1, antimicrobial resistance. We are giving antibiotics. The farmers are giving them. There was already a committee set up in the UN to deal with this matter. Many people are becoming antibiotic resistant. And once they become antibiotic resistant, any of the microbials can become a huge pandemic. That's the first thing. The second one, climate change. Because of climate change, we are starting to see diseases which we never saw before. But the third one is the behavior of human beings. We are displacing wild animals from their habitat without replacing them. A good example is what happened in Archaican Hospital, Dr. Zomo. You know, in Chatsworth, when monkeys invaded the hospital. I've just heard that monkeys are invading somewhere in Garankuwa. When I called the Department of Environment, they found that there was a housing development somewhere in Chatsworth where monkeys were displaced by human beings to put that housing settlement. And they found their habitat in the hospital. So we called the environment to relocate them somewhere. So some of these issues are caused by us as human beings. And then we come and complain. Let me finish with mental health. I'll skip the others.
2 minutes.
I'll finish in less than 2 minutes. Dr. Letlapi, I understand it was asked by you. Perhaps as a nation now, not only as a department, as a nation, we need to come together to think about this mental health. It's a pandemic already, and it's mostly driven by a drug called crystal meth. Many of you here know cocaine, heroin, kids smoking sniffing benzene and all that, coming disorientated. Here, crystal meth, you don't get disorientated. You get mad, if you allow me to use that word. They come to hospital in chains. And a doctor told me that, look, during your time on Friday in a hospital, when you get to casualty, there'll be people there bleeding because of stab wounds, gunshot wounds, motor vehicle accident because of drunkenness. They say, now come to a casualty unit in a government department. You are going to find people on crystal meth. Their families don't even want them anymore because they get scared about what they've done. One of the statements I make, I don't know whether I made a vain statement. I say this massive GPV, where women are just attacked like this and children, many of the people who do that are not normal. They are on drugs. And until we go to deal with drugs, and Dr. Letlapi, I know I'm touching a raw nerve when it comes to you, because this just happened to your daughter. I'm sure you are aware. What happened to the daughter of Dr. Letlapi, who was butchered like, no human being must see that, no parent. I don't wish to any parent like what happened to him, but it happened. And I'm not saying in this case it was drugs because I don't know. I'm just giving an example that when you see a man butchering a woman like that, that cannot be normal. These are not normal human beings. And there is something we must do about it. In my previous department, I said this because we know who's bringing crystal meth in our country. But as a nation, when we mention these things, they'll tell you are being xenophobic. We know, I know, I was in Home Affairs, I know who's bringing crystal meth in the country. Please allow me not to say it now. But it does happen and we know it. I even asked the police that we need to form a special drug squad about this thing. There ought to be a drug squad in South Africa. Otherwise, we are not going to be dealing with this problem. I know my 2 minutes is over. Yeah, half a minute, half a second. On the other one, I forgot something important. On litigation, Dr. Letlapi. Most of the litigation happens in obstetrics and gynecology, pregnancy and childbirth, because giving birth to a child can be very complicated. Now, what's happening in South Africa because of this uncontrolled litigation, apart from fraud, the gynecologists who are being litigated are forced to look for insurance. Now, to open a private practice as a gynecologist, you need to pay 1 million rand insurance. Is it still 1 million? It was 1 million when I was in health. That's more than 5 years ago. Before you open a practice as a gynecologist, you have got to put 1 million on the table just to insure you. What are the results? Doctors in private practice are refusing to touch pregnant women. And all the pregnant women are going to public, even rich ones. Some of them come and ask and say, I've been going to Dr. So-and-so as my gynecologist. Now I'm pregnant. They say he can't touch me anymore. What's going on? Because he's scared that he's going to be litigated out of practice. So many don't touch a pregnant woman sent to a public hospital. I'll only go to gyne. Before I left health, I remember a small town here in the Western Cape. If I'm not mistaken, it's Beaufort West. It was counted in the papers where there were only 4 gynecologists in the whole town. They all closed shop and left. And there was not a single private gynecologist. And every patient has to find a way out. How will women survive under these conditions? So we need to move very fast, and we'll come to you to change the law to no fault claim, and we would like support from you. Otherwise, we'll never have a healthcare system in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mtswale, the Minister. We could still give you more time if time permitted, but we have to round up. Don't worry, you don't have to leave. We'll just round up as a portfolio committee. Honourable members, you might wish to come back, but we'll use some other time to really get more clarity on these issues. I'm glad that Dr. Mtswale touched on the issue that was raised by Dr. Letlapi on the issues of GPV and femicide. There's members who have been requesting here, honourable members requesting this presentation to come on your emails. Please, on the WhatsApp group that has been created by our secretary, send your email addresses that you can then receive this presentation. Number 2, we will have to convene as a portfolio committee tomorrow at 12 o'clock to reflect on this report and therefore adopt or not adopt. Hopefully we'll adopt it, because before we get into the budget vote on Thursday, this must already be forming part of the programs and the report to Parliament. So we will meet tomorrow at 12 o'clock, hopefully for an hour. The meeting will be at room 120 in this building that is across here, the building where ministers have got their offices, ground floor. Yes, that's where we'll meet tomorrow at 12 o'clock, honourable members. 12 o'clock, we hopefully will be finished by 1 o'clock. We really have to be there so that we can complete this procedural event before the budget vote on Thursday. I'm sure members are aware that there's a budget vote on Thursday at 10 o'clock at the Good Hope building, Good Hope Center building, starting at 10 o'clock sharp. For the members who may not know where that is, please get those who know to show you now so that you do not get lost and come on time, because your party might wish that you say certain things about health, and therefore the slot will be available. So with those, honourable members, we then come to an end of our meeting. Unless there's something else. No, that is, I always confirm that she's a very procedural lady. Now she agrees that we can then close the meeting. Thank you very much, honourable members, and thanks to the Department Minister. Thanks for finishing off and rushing to finishing your cabinet and rushing to meet us. We'll meet again with the members tomorrow, and we'll meet the department and all of our colleagues on Thursday in the budget vote. Thank you very much. The House is adjourned. No, we want to reflect on you. Thank you.